So first you want to rip out the rear seats here. So you're going to want to move the front seats forward, and then to start off, you're going to have these little tabs across each of these holes along the front of the back seats. Now, obviously I've already removed mine. This metal tab would be behind the plastic, and all they are these little plastic tabs. You take a flathead, turn it, pop out the center, and they come right out. And you're going to remove all of these along the face. What that's going to do is allow the bottom of the rear seat to fold up easily. So now you have access to these guys. Now I did put one back in just for demonstration. There are multiple in all of these holes throughout the entire back seat. So all you have to do, press in the center, they literally come right out. So super easy. Then from there you want to get the seats removed. Now you do want to have them up, makes it a little bit easier. You're going to need a 14mm socket here. Extension is nice too, because you're going to be reaching that guy there and on the other side there. Now of course this is just the 40% side, so you do have another 2 bolts the same size on both ends there. Both are easy to access with the bottom of the seat folded up. Once both of those are out, your seat is only being held in by this tab. So you can just go ahead, pull the tab, and then it's ready to come out. After removal of the seat, things get even easier here. So now you just have basic trim removal. So we need to basically get all this off, the front off, and that starts with this guy. So I found it easiest just to grab it underneath here, tug straight up, work your way down, same thing. Not too bad. They have all these tabs. Luckily they stayed intact. Get that out of the way. Now this frees up this guy. So as long as you remove these pins, this guy should be able to come out from these red tabs. So I like trying to locate each of these tabs so you can apply pressure closest to the tabs and reduce the risk of something breaking off. So no tabs holding in the back there, those just hold it in place. And you have the filter cover for the hybrid system comes right out. Then the front piece here, once again, those are just held in with those. And then they also have these little guys. Those are just clips holding it in. Once again, I like pushing on the plastic as close to those as I can get. Ooh, a little bit harder one-handed, but I just had those 2 holding it in. There are another 2 on the other side. Once again, pretty straightforward. And then you have a pretty clean surface here to start drilling. So you do need to drill out a few of these holes to make them a little bit wider. So Goose Gear calls for this one, this one, this one, this one, then on the other side, that one that's already drilled, and then the one next to that blue piece of tape. Now, I didn't drill through all of them right away because I saw on the 4G Taco forums that you might not have to drill all of these holes out. So I'm waiting to get my kit, and then I'm going to see if I need to drill any new holes. So to drill the holes, you need to go nice and slow with a titanium or cobalt bit, and then have some sort of lubricant or cooling agent like motor oil or cutting oil. So the seat delete has arrived. Have all the parts laid out as they instructed. One thing I did notice is I believe they put these on the wrong side. This should be able to slide in with the T-slots, but it appears to be on the wrong side. But I guess I'll see that as I start assembling. Their instructions were a little off. They said 5mm Allen key. It actually needs 4. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start loosening up each of these to give us some room, because these are going to slide right into these T-slots. And we're going to get this kind of set up. Okay, there we have it. 40% of the Goose Gear is in. I kept all these fairly loose as the instructions indicated, just so you can kind of move them around for final fitment. And then I got the top to the lockable drawer up there. Time to go on to the 60%. All right, we got the rest lined out, just as the pictures describe. Back piece there, lockable latch here. I did notice with this outside, once again, these are on backwards. So if this were to thread in the only way it can this way, this is the opposite of what the picture displays. The picture displays that it should be essentially this way with the thin side on this side, same one as that point, and then of course it can't slide in that way. So I'll just have to switch it again like I did on the other one. Really easy fix, but just something to note, keep an eye out for. Got her all mocked up. Everything's loose, ready to be thrown in. Now time to go prep the inside. All right, so we're going to install these brackets using the factory seat mounts that we removed earlier from here. We removed 4 of them. Now it does say to only install 3 of these, even though it came with 4, and there are 4 bolts. But in this spot where there would be 2, it doesn't look like there's enough space. So I'm sure it's fine just mounting with 3, but I guess we'll see if we need to add one in later. But yeah, basically from the photos, you want to use this larger kind of oval hole. So it does say you want to have the bolt towards the top, and we're going to be using that oval hole. So this is just going to go in just like that with that 14 mil socket. So this is on the driver's side. I'm so glad I didn't drill this out because it's not necessary. So that one I already drilled out, good to go. I tapped it with the riv nut. And this one I actually drilled with a 27/64 drill bit. And the rest of these I drilled with a 3/8 drill bit. And that one over there that I already tapped, this riv nut slid right in. You notice with these ones, it doesn't quite fit. So what I'm going to attempt to do here, before I drill it wider, smack it with a good old mallet, see if I can get it in. But the forums were right again. The recommendation by Goose Gear is not the right size, and the hole's too small. And just so you know, for proof, not going. They recommended 2 different drill bit sizes, and the 3/8 was the larger of the 2. So they don't, you can include that in the instructions if you need to tap it in with a hammer or mallet, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't deform the riv nut at all. So to install these riv nuts, they provide you with this little kit here. The riv nut screws onto the end, and all you really needed is a 15 millimeter wrench and a 11 millimeter socket. These instructions are incorrect on the Goose Gear instructions. What do they state? They state 12. Yeah, 12. Actually, the 15 might be right. Actually, I think the 15 is right, but you actually need an 11, not a 12. So kind of, continuing to not add up with the Goose Gear instructions. So that's really why I wanted to make this video as well. And then continuing on those, faulty instructions, you really only have to drill 4 holes in your truck to mount these. So I have them all mounted with tape. I've already drilled them. I've already installed the riv nuts, just so you can see them a little better. Actually, I didn't mark that one with tape, but those are the only holes that you have to drill here. On the instructions, they mentioned drilling out these ones, and there's the exact same hole on the opposite side. These don't need to be drilled out because there's not even a hole on the Goose Gear. This is separate for a mounting point. So there's no point to drilling this hole into your truck, which is also a pain in the ass, I'll mind you, because there's no reason to. They do send you 6 rib nuts too, but it's not necessary. Then the drill bit size that they suggest is also substantially too small. As you guys saw earlier, I was not able to tap those in with a mallet, so you do need a 27/64 bit. And this is honestly quite the pain to drill. I don't think this bit is the best for the job, but about 4 rounds of applying oil, slow drilling, repeat, and we finally made it through to enlarge the holes even further. So now we're finally ready to get some more parts and start putting this thing in. So we're going to start reinstalling the trim pieces. We want to get this front guy popped into place. Those are those white ones on both sides. And then from there, you can take your corner piece with the filter cover. So that's going to slide into a couple slots back there. And then up front, remember those red tabs? Those are going to find their way. Let's see, maybe find their way Looks like I should line up the red tabs first. That kind of falls into place, and then press on where those red tabs are. Snap, snap. Those are in. Okay. Then after that, take the little door sill thing. Just go straight down. Perfect. And then we're going to reinstall these little push pins all throughout. Don't cover up the riv nuts, but everywhere you don't have riv nuts, you're going to cover them up. All right, we're going to install the 40% side here. So we got to put this little spacer, and then basically how it mounts is there's going to be kind of this medium size. There's a really short one, there's this medium size, and there's a really long one. And this is the 5mm Allen head with, what is this, a 13mm nut on the bottom, and with the washer as well. And then this is how I believe this is going to mount through the Goose gear. So let's see. All right, so I almost nailed it. Just add a washer on the top here. Then it goes through. Then, let's see, can you see any of that? Where's that? There it is. Yeah. Then you can see, oh, I just fucked that up. Oh, hello, finger. Let's see. Then you can see, there it is. The nut with the washer. And then I kept it a little bit loose because I'm not quite sure where everything's going to sit. And then these are still loose, so there's still quite a bit of tightening down to do. But then, so then we're going to move to the front here. This is where we get a big long spacer. It's going to go underneath. And then we have another washer that we just put into this little hole. And then this guy is going to drop down through here, through that, and then into the rib nut that we put in. Now, switching up sizes again on us, we are at 7/16 for this socket. They did get this one right. Yep, and you do the same for this guy right here. You can see both are in. So funny enough, I can use this as an opportunity to show you the lack of hole here. The reason why I point that out is this, where is it at? This hole, they said to drill through. So if we follow this up, yeah, there's nothing. So just kind of that point I had mentioned earlier about not drilling excess holes. All right, we're going to take this opportunity to put in these, I think they call them mend plates. Actually, there you go. You go like that to help mend both the pieces together. Came with 2 plates, 2 sets of bolts here. These are going to be 4mm heads. All right, guys, I goofed a little bit. I used this size washer on the underside of this, and I should have used this big one. Reason being, I didn't think it'd matter. Reason being is I went to go bolt in this side through here, which needs a washer on top, and that washer does not fit. So I was thinking, shit, did I use this another washer somewhere? And I did. So this smaller one fits perfectly there. And then this big one is just going to go on the underside of the, where this is mounted. All right, now to get it drilled in there, I'm going to take this little shorty with that proper sized washer. It's going to go through. On the underside, we're going to do the big washer with the nut. Then this is the 5mm Allen, 13mm wrench. It's going to be going right there. All right, pro tip, if you're doing the 100%, after you get that side in, you're going to want to tighten these little guys, because once you get this side in, you're not going to have a choice. So I'm also going to do the same for this side before I put it in, because yeah, they're facing each other. You can't tighten them after the fact. What I think is going to be a pro tip is just pop this in. I've got this very loosely in the small spacer there. What I'm going to do now is take these guys, which are the mending plates, or the screws to the mending plates. I'm going to line those up and screw those in before I get to the rest, because that should line everything up pretty well. We'll see. So the other 60% goes in the exact same as the 40%. You could just follow the instructions from the 40%. You can apply them all to this side. There's no special notes or anything. There's no hole that needs to be drilled there. So I did encounter one problem installing this. If you see here, that's a fresh bolt that isn't black. And basically what I had to do was I had to cut the last bolt out. So literally the final bolt that I was installing here, this bolt was dropped into here through the spacer, screwed into the riv nut, and when this bolt was about an inch or two left, it started spinning. At that point, the riv nut on the bottom had broken loose and was just spinning. So the threads were not allowing me to thread any further. I couldn't take it out. I couldn't drill it further. I tried everything under the sun to try and save this bolt. And basically what I had to do is get under there and cut the bolt. So between the plastic and the metal, cut the bolt, and bought a new bolt. They're standard, same exact bolt, just silver, dang it. And then instead of using a riv nut, which I could have done because I had more riv nuts, since it properly expanded, but it just was spinning against the surface, so there wasn't enough friction for the threads to go through. So what I did is, instead of using another riv nut and risking the same problem, what I did is I took a normal normal nut, and I was able to stick a finger in there and hold the nut still while I screwed the bolt into it. So this is, fortunately it happened here, because this is the only place you can actually get a little bit of access through that tube where you can actually feel it. So I got it tight enough. It's not super tight, but tight enough to where I'm comfortable this isn't going anywhere, but I can also remove it if I need to. So, it's kind of bad luck on my end, I guess, but it's also par for the course, I think, with enough people using riv nuts like this, where something like this can happen. And yeah, it was a big pain. So what I had to do then, because that's a limited access, it was all installed like this, I had to take off the side door, take off the front panel. That way I could actually get access in there. I had all this covered with towels to not get sparks everywhere over the electronics. Yeah, it was a pain. One thing I saw a few guys commenting about is that you don't have access to the air filter here for the hybrid battery system, which is true. You can't reach in there, even if you could. This has to swing out in order to come out. What's actually a really easy solution is you can just loosen up these T-tracks, because this is on a T-track if you've followed along, and you could just slide it all out that way. So you just slide it all out, then you can pop this, access your filter, no problem, slide it back, tighten them up, good to go. I did actually have it where I mounted it and tightened it up with it all the way out here so I could continue to access it, but kind of closed up the space, didn't look as nice. But that is a nice little side note that you can still access those without taking it all apart. The other thing I'm looking forward to is supposedly Goose Gear is making some kind of backing here, maybe some kind of molly panel, because I do have a little bit of storage back here, not very much, where I keep some items I don't need access to, like glue tread, as well as a couple tire plugs in there too. I got my jump starter battery pack. I used to keep like a very small basic boo-boo kit, a little MRE back here, but I kind of limited on space now because it'll just fall out. Then the other thing I did buy with it are the little anchor points. So I wasn't really sure where these would go, how these work from their website. So I figured I'd take a second to explain to you. So throughout the Goose Gear kit, there are these spots that are pre-threaded. And there's set locations. I'm sure you could thread one yourself, I guess, but preset locations, there's four there, a couple up here, a couple around the perimeter. They're pretty much all over. And then same thing over there. All the empty holes that don't have bolts through them already are already pre-threaded. So you can really just thread these down, then tighten them down wherever you want for any anchor down points. They're machined pretty nicely. Come with the little bolt and washer there. pretty easy. I did plan on putting my fridge back here, which unfortunately did not fit. It's an Iceco VL45 non-pro. It fit, but the passenger seat had to be so far forward it was a little too uncomfortable for us. So reevaluating other storage solutions for on the road here, thinking more of like a cabinet design, small drawer for storage, because we do need the 60% part for our German Shepherd. So I'll show you kind of that setup real quick. So this is the dog setup. It's the basic kind of hammock off Amazon for dogs, and buckled up through the headrest on both the front seats. And that's pretty much the only places that it's attached to. I will attach this side to this little grab handle. Doesn't do very much, but I have the door protectors on both sides. Shout out to Independence Overland for the idea there. These are super convenient. They just slip right into the window, and then I have them Velcroed down at the bottom. So protects the doors, and then I kind of don't need to have those sides popped up as well, because he cannot scratch or access any of this. Then he can't even access the other side, but that's covered too. Then on the Goose Gear Delete, I have a Tractor Supply bed. This thing fits perfectly. That way it's a little comfy for him, stops him from slipping and sliding. And then for the tether, since you can't access the seat buckles anymore, seat belts, I just have it attached right there. So it's perfect. We do need a little bit of a shorter one. It's a little too long for him. He can get a little too far up front for us, and we want a shorter length just for safety. But pretty easy to clip him in. Then any kind of loot we have on that end will be kind of covered like that if it needs to be covered. But yeah, and that way he can rest his head up here. Pretty easy. Jumps up. It is a few inches higher. The Goose Gear kit's like a couple inches higher than the rear seat. You know, I have a full-size male German Shepherd, so his head is towards the top too, but it's still comfortable for him. He still has plenty of space. So I mean, overall, like, it's a Goose Gear seat delete. It's pretty solid. I like the design. It's exactly what I needed for the build, to have storage on the other side now. But man, the install definitely could have been explained way better. The instructions suck. They need a video. I didn't see any videos online. I figured I'd make one. Realized I've been filming vertically this whole time, so apologies in advance, but at least it's something explaining, saving you from drilling holes, explaining the process. Yeah, the not having to drill those holes really is a lot better. I would have sucked if I had to drill those extra ones. But yeah, this is my first real video on this channel, but I'm going to be building out the 2025 Trail Hunter here for my off-road adventures. I had a 3rd gen Tacoma first, and now we upgraded here. We're going to be putting a truck bed camper of some sort on the rear, and living out of this thing in the future, but working out of it on the road, working remotely. So I got these guys. Should be pretty fun. Plan on making some more videos, so feel free to follow along.